Welcome back. So this is the answer video for strategy 3. So if you have not watched the instructional video and done the work that goes along with the lesson, then stop this video, get that done, and then come back to this, because I'm going to be going through the answers and walking through them in a lot of detail. And I've mentioned it a few times before, but again, we are working in the TABE language E-level book, wherever you did your intake. If that's Union County or Bradley County, you should have gotten one of these books. If not, you can go back at any time and they'll give you one. But for the time being, you can access all of these pages, all these lessons here on Canvas. If you just navigate over to the left side and click on Files, and then the folder TABE E or TABE Language E Pages, that'll take you to the folder where all of these lessons are there for you to open in digital form. Okay, I'm starting on page 13, working through the exercises that go with strategy 3. This one was a lesson that worked up to sentence structure, so we have a few things that are foundational before we get there, working with comparatives and superlatives, and also taking a look at coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. All right, so we'll move here to number 1. So read the sentences, list the words that are comparative and superlative adjectives, and explain your answers. Okay, so first of all, we had best. That's a regular superlative. We had scarier. That's a regular comparative. One, in fact, that we had to drop the Y and add an I in order to then add the ER. And then lastly, we have more thrilling. That is a comparative adverb, but in this case, it's a more or less version. We wouldn't say thrillinger. It's pretty impossible to say, so that should be your clue that we're going to use the more or less setup rather than adding ER. Okay, so for 2 through 5, we are to circle the correct comparative or superlative form of the adjective. Pretty clear cut. So number 2 is happier. Number 3 is worse. Number 4 is simplest. There'll be a lot of redundancy or repetitiveness in most simplest. And then 5 is most beautiful. Down to the multiple choice. Okay, 6 is see more quickly. Jerome ran more quickly than Samuel. Quicker would work in a pinch, but not with more or most in front of it. So more quickly is the only one that works here. Okay, 7 is A, worst. We all hated that the dance had been canceled, but Lydia felt the worst about it, or felt worst about it. We know we need to use the superlative because we're saying in this sentence that she's the one who felt most bad, the worst out of everyone. That's why we use superlative rather than comparative. That's why it's not worse, but rather worst. And 8 is A, diamonds are harder than glass. Pretty clear cut on that one. Okay, moving to page 15, and we're looking at conjunctions with this particular exercise. So number 9 asks us to circle the coordinating conjunction and underline the subordinating conjunction. All right, so our coordinating conjunction is but. It's one of the 7 fanboys: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Memorize those. This is how we're differentiating them from the subordinating conjunctions, is by remembering these 7. Trust me, the subordinating conjunctions and others, the list is way too long to memorize. Our subordinating conjunction, by the way, is although. And it subordinates this clause, he enjoys watching sports on TV, to the independent clause, he does not play in it. So that's what the word although does. All right, so for 10 through 13, we're going through and choosing the correct word. So number 10 is yet. Actually, I should probably explain some of these as I go through. So Mr. Mishima is retired, yet he still works part-time. All right, so we use yet here because the meaning of it shows that, while one thing has happened, the expected outcome has not happened. Something that maybe is not expected has happened. We expect someone who's retired to not be working, but there's something that doesn't meet the expectation that he's working part-time, in fact. Okay, 11 is and. I have a test tomorrow and I think I'm going to do well. So we're bringing these two ideas together as a pair. That one thing is connected to another. If we used since, we would be incorrectly showing that one thing is the cause of another, or that one thing happens after another. And while we might be able to say that about the test happening tomorrow, that's not the point of the sentence. The point of the sentence is that this thing's happening, and I have a feeling of confidence about it. The two ideas are connected. Okay, number 12 is though. Though I have a job, I am not earning much money yet. This is kind of like yet. This is not a coordinating conjunction. It's a subordinating conjunction, but it does have a similar meaning. This one thing is happening. I have a job, but the expected outcome of earning sufficient money is not happening yet. So in that case, we have subordinated the clause, I have a job, to the independent clause, I'm not earning much money yet. And then lastly, 13 is because. Jaden went swimming because the weather was hot. And so we use because due to cause and effect. The weather was hot. That was the cause of Jaden going swimming. Okay, 14. Her answer is a or. Which coordinating conjunction correctly completes the sentence? Braden may drive to Dallas today, or he may drive there tomorrow. So in this case, the two ideas are options. It's going to be one option or the other, not both. So or is the conjunction that sets that up. I wish I could have explained it without using the word or, but hopefully it's obvious. When we use the word or, we're not viewing things together in a group or a pair. We're looking at them kind of like one or the other. Okay. 15, which subordinating conjunction correctly completes the sentence, and it's see unless. I will stay with this company unless I get another job offer. This subordinating conjunction shows that this thing will happen unless a certain condition is met. If this condition of getting another great job offer happens, then the first part of the sentence becomes untrue. And that's what the unless signifies there, or what it means. That it will render the rest of the sentence untrue. Okay, 16 is D. Which of the subordinating conjunctions correctly completes the sentence? Edwina will wash the dishes tonight, even though she does not want to. The meaning of this fits what's set up in the sentence. Is that she does not have the desire to do a particular thing, but it will happen anyway. So it's kind of showing contrast. There's one thing that we'd all like to see happen, but something different's going to happen. Even though we want one outcome, a different one is going to happen. All right, one more page to talk about here, and then we're finished with this this lesson. Almost, I should say. You got a little more practice after. Okay, and here on page 17, we're kind of putting it all together to look at sentence structures. And the simple sentence, the compound sentence, and the complex sentence are important to remember. They also talked about the fragment, which is important to remember but not to do in your own writing. Recognize it for what it is, a mistake, a sentence that does not express a complete thought. But let's take a look at what we have. So 17, what type of sentence is this? Explain why. Well, first of all, it's a compound sentence composed of two independent clauses. Those are brought together with a comma and coordinating conjunction. And in this case, it was the comma and so. The first independent clause is Jack burned the popcorn in the microwave. Jack, subject, burned, verb. And the second one is he threw it out. Subject, he, threw is the verb. So we put that together with the comma and coordinated conjunction. Okay. In 18 through 20, we're supposed to look at the fragment, the incomplete sentence, and add another clause which turns it into a complete sentence. So your sentence could sound and look a little bit different than mine. But one thing to note is that what you have written on these lines should have a subject and a verb linked to it. That's kind of the bottom line. No matter what it is you've written, it should have a subject and verb. So number 18. Because the snowstorm was so bad, we got lost. That's how I completed the sentence. And the subject is we, and the verb is got. We've turned that into a complete complex sentence. Subordinate clause, independent clause. All right, here we're going to need a clause to turn this into a complete sentence in the first place. It's not even a complete clause is written. It doesn't have a verb. So what I wrote was, she loves spring flowers, comma, such as roses, pansies, and lilies. So she ended up being the subject. Loves was the verb. And then I had an object, spring flowers, to serve as something that these roses, pansies, and lilies could be an example of. All right, 20, if I do not wash my windows today, I'll probably forget to do it. If is another one of those subordinated conjunctions. We need an independent clause to complete this sentence. I is the subject. Will is the verb. I know I said I'll, the contraction, but I'll is a contraction of I will. So the complete subject-verb phrase is I will. Get to do it. And then 21, I walked across the log, which was more difficult than I thought. Here this which is yet another subordinated conjunction, turns this into a subordinate clause that needs an independent clause. I wrote, I walked across the log. I, subject, walked is the verb. You could have just had two words, actually. I walked, comma, which was more difficult than I thought. Just make sure that whatever you have plugged in on those 4 lines has a subject-verb relationship. Okay, then lastly, these 3 multiple choice questions. 22, which is the best way to combine these simple sentences? The answer here is A, and we're going to turn it into a compound sentence. That's what 2 simple sentences combined into one is called. And A correctly uses a comma and coordinating conjunction, one of the fanboys. I will go to the library on Tuesday. Subject I, verb will go. Second clause, maybe I will go on Wednesday. Subject I, verb will go. Don't worry about the maybe. That's an adverb that's been put at the front of the sentence. It's illegal, but it doesn't change the fact that this is a compound sentence that is put together from 2 complete simple sentences. And you can see the proof of that, of course, up here in the actual question. Maybe I will go on Wednesday is a complete sentence. Okay, 23, which is a compound sentence. Again, 2 independent clauses. And it's C, Latasha worked all weekend, comma, coordinated conjunction. So, she was really tired. Latasha, subject, worked, verb. She, subject, was, verb. And then the comma and coordinated conjunction to link the 2 together. A compound sentence, if we took this that we added, the comma and fanboy, away, we could break them into 2 complete sentences. Latasha worked all weekend, period. She was really tired, period. Not long sentences, kind of boring, but still grammatically correct. And then 14, which sentence is a fragment? It's C, delivered the newspaper early this morning. So we got a verb, but we don't have a subject that the verb delivered is linked to. If it said, David delivered the newspapers, then we'd have a complete sentence. Let's work through the other answers real quick. So A, B, and D are not, because A has the subject I and the verb phrase would love. B has the subject Danny and the verb collected. D has the subject diner and the verb sells. And also another clause, the subject I and the verb get. This introductory phrase, on Sundays, can make it a little bit more difficult to find the subject of the sentence, but it is still there nevertheless. On Sundays is a prepositional phrase that this writer has put in front of the subject of the sentence to tell us like when this thing happens. You know, we could have rearranged it to the diner always sells out of apple pie on Sundays, so I get cherry. That would have been legal. It's just that the prepositional phrase has been moved to the front with a comma, to make the sentence flow a little bit better. But it can make it a little bit more difficult to determine whether it's a complete sentence or fragment. All right, so that ends the answers video that goes with this particular lesson. That's strategy 3. We were dealing with sentence structures. Kind of like normal, you're not completely done with strategy 3. I have also posted some work on a worksheet assignment that you can do, or that you need to do, I should say, to practice these concepts and these skills at a rate where you're going to learn them pretty well, and you're going to be confident when you go into the testing situation. You can see yourself, these books, while they do a pretty good job of explaining a concept, they don't give you anywhere near enough practice to really build the skill and to gain confidence and speed. So that's why I post additional work that goes with each lesson. Not for busy work purposes, or not to just make you have to spend a lot more time studying, but because learning the concept's important, but then developing the confidence, skill, and speed to pull it off in a test situation is equally, if not more important. All right, so this video will end, and I will see you next time for strategy 4.